My dear, before I begin, I need you to promise me something. Listen until the end, because once you hear what happened on the day of my husband's funeral, you'll never look at anyone in your life the same way again. You'll realize how even the people closest to you can hide the darkest secrets behind the softest smiles. Now come sit close. Let me tell you what really happened. Sweetheart, my hands tremble every time I think about that morning. I can still feel the cold weight of grief pressing on my chest, making it hard to breathe. I was an old woman standing beside the coffin of the only man I ever truly loved. The church smelled of roses and rain-soaked earth, and every step I took echoed like memories chasing me down the aisles. And just when I thought the day couldn't break me more, my phone rang. I shouldn't have answered. I truly shouldn't have. But something inside me, something sharp, urgent, pulled my hand toward that little glowing screen. Mrs. Whitmore? The voice was deep, tense, almost trembling. This is Michael, your husband's boss. You need to see something. It's about your husband, and I'm afraid it can't wait. I remember gripping the phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. My husband just died, I whispered. And today is his funeral. Can't this wait? No, he said. Because once you know, nothing will ever be the same. Those words, they carved themselves into my bones. I felt the whole room tilt. My husband's picture, resting on the podium, seemed to stare back at me, those warm brown eyes now holding a truth he never told me. Why? Why today? Why now? And then, my dear, something even stranger happened. A woman I had never seen before, tall, elegant, lips trembling, kept staring at me from the back pew. She looked like she wanted to come forward, but she didn't. Instead, she kept wiping her tears and hiding her face. And something in my heart whispered, she knows something too. I forced myself to stay calm. I had to finish the funeral, greet the guests, hold my head high, but inside I was unraveling. My husband and I were married for 52 years. We raised children, built a home, survived storms, literal and emotional. And you're telling me, on the day I buried him, someone calls to say I need to see something? What could he possibly have kept from me? As the service continued, I watched the walls, the faces, the flowers. Everything felt blurred. Like I was watching a movie, not living my own life. And then, sweetheart, here's the question for you, the one I want the audience to answer right in the comments. What would you do if someone called you during your spouse's funeral and said, you need to see something about them? Right now? Would you ignore it? Or would you pick at the truth even if it cuts you? Think about that. Because your answer says a lot about what kind of heart you carry. Back to that moment. When the pastor finished speaking, people started approaching me, hugging me, whispering condolences, offering prayers. And I nodded, smiled softly, held their hands, but my mind wasn't there. My mind was with that voice on the phone, and with that strange woman whose eyes followed me like a shadow. I remember leaning closer to my husband's coffin. My fingertips brushed the wood, and my voice trembled as I whispered to him, what did you hide from me? The air felt heavy, so heavy I could almost hear his silence answering me back. After the service, I stepped outside into the cold breeze. Leaves rustled along the sidewalk, and clouds stretched like torn fabric across the sky. My children were busy talking with relatives, making arrangements, comforting others, so nobody noticed when I stepped away for a moment. Then my phone buzzed again. A message. From the same number. Please, Mrs. Whitmore. Before someone else tells you the wrong version, you need to hear it from me. Meet me. Now. My heart nearly stopped. Why couldn't he tell me over the phone? Why did it feel dangerous? And where was that woman now? She had vanished like she was never there. I looked up at the sky and thought, Lord, please give me strength. Because if there was something my husband hid, something big enough to shake a man's voice when he said it, then whatever it wasn't small. And sweetheart, let me tell you this as an old woman who's lived long enough to know. The truth always knocks when you least expect it. And it never knocks softly. My chest tightened. My legs felt weak. But I walked through that parking lot slowly, like I was walking toward the past, or maybe toward a future I never asked for. Right before I reached my car, I heard footsteps behind me. Slow. Deliberate. Too close. I turned around, and there she was. The same mysterious woman from the church. Her voice shook as she whispered, there's something you don't know about your husband. And you're not the only one he kept it from. My breath caught in my throat. What do you mean? I whispered. She looked at me with eyes full of guilt, fear, and something else. Something darker. Please, she said softly, don't meet with his boss alone. Not today. Not yet. Because what he wants to show you, it could destroy everything you thought you knew. My heart slammed against my ribs. And then she added the words that changed everything. Because your husband, he wasn't the man you think he was. The world spun. The air froze. And I felt the first crack in the life I thought I understood. Sweetheart, don't you dare go anywhere. I need you with me through every part of this. What comes next is where the real storm begins. My dear, after that woman whispered those words to me, I felt something inside me shatter like thin glass. A part of me wanted to grab her shoulders and demand answers on the spot. But the other part, the older, quieter part, knew that whatever she had to say, I might not be ready to hear it. She kept her eyes on mine, trembling, like she was waiting for me to fall apart right there next to my husband's coffin. And maybe if I were younger I would have screamed, cried, begged her to tell me everything. But grief ages you in minutes. It makes your spine bend under weight you never asked to carry. Who are you? I finally asked her, voice barely a whisper. She swallowed hard. My name doesn't matter today, she said. What matters is that you don't go with Michael. Not alone. Michael. My husband's boss. The man who called during the funeral. The man who said he had something I needed to see. The parking lot felt colder. The sky pressed down on us like a heavy book closing. What did my husband hide? I asked slowly. What are you afraid to tell me? She looked over her shoulder like she expected someone to be listening, then said very quietly, he was living 2 lives. And you only know one of them. My heart nearly stopped beating. Before I could speak again, before I could breathe again, a car turned into the lot, headlights slicing through the silence. The woman stepped back like a frightened deer. I shouldn't be here, she whispered. But please don't trust the first person who claims to know the truth. People lie when they want to protect themselves. And today, a lot of people will try to protect themselves. And just like that she slipped away. Not running, not rushing, but fading like smoke. I blinked and she was already across the street, disappearing behind a row of parked cars. I wanted to follow her. God knows I wanted to. But then my phone buzzed again. Michael. I'm in the black sedan. I can only talk for a moment. Please hurry. I turned toward the row of cars. There it was. A black sedan parked near the far exit. My stomach twisted. If you were standing beside me that day, sweetheart, I swear you would have felt the way the air changed around me. Like a storm was about to break loose, inside me, outside me, everywhere. I took one step, then another. Each foot felt heavier than the last. And while I walked, I kept hearing that woman's voice echoing in my head. He wasn't the man you think he was. My husband. My partner of 52 years. My gentle, hardworking, stubborn, loving man. How could he have been someone else? How could he have lived another life without me knowing? Do you think you would see something like that, sweetheart? Do you believe you can truly know a person? Not just their smiles and habits, but the secrets they bury deep inside? Tell me honestly, if you found out your partner hid something from you for years, would you still want to know the full truth? Or would you rather keep the picture perfect even if it was a lie? I reached the sedan just as the window rolled down. Mrs. Whitmore, Michael said quickly. Get in. Please. His voice was tense. Too tense. I noticed his hands gripping the steering wheel, knuckles white, like he was scared of something too. No, I said firmly. You can talk to me right here. He looked around nervously. It's not safe to stand out in the open. Safe from what? I asked. He glanced behind me, then leaned closer. People are watching this funeral who shouldn't be here. People your husband kept things from. People who may blame you now that he's gone. Blame me? I whispered. For what? His lips pressed into a thin, worried line. I can't say everything yet. But your husband, he was involved in something he never told you about. Something that could put you at risk. I felt my breath freeze in my chest. Show me, I said. Whatever you called about. Show me. His eyes softened just a little. I will. But I have to ask, that woman who approached you. Did she say anything? I felt a sudden sharpness in his voice. A strange edge. It made my skin prickle. I don't know who you mean. I lied softly. He exhaled in frustration. She's dangerous. If she spoke to you, she's already trying to twist the truth. And what truth is that? I asked. He hesitated, then reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small envelope, cream-colored, worn at the edges, sealed with a dark red wax stamp. Your husband left this with me 2 weeks ago, he said. He told me that if anything ever happened to him, I had to make sure it reached you immediately. My heart pounded so loudly I could hear it echo in my ears. 2 weeks ago? I whispered. Why didn't he give it to me himself? Michael lowered his gaze. Because he knew what was coming. The world tilted. My legs felt weak. Knew what was coming? I repeated. Yes, he said quietly. And he was terrified. Terrified. My husband, a man who had faced sickness, financial struggles, the death of his own parents, never once breaking, never once showing fear. And you're telling me he was terrified of something so deeply, he prepared a message for me in secret? My fingers trembled as I reached for the envelope, but just as it brushed my skin, a voice shouted across the parking lot, "Don't open that." Michael's head jerked up. I turned around. The mysterious woman was running toward us, her face pale, her voice breaking. "Don't let him give you that. He's lying." Michael opened his door and stepped out, furious. "You don't belong here," he snapped. "Leave before you make this worse." She pointed at him with a shaking hand. "He's hiding the real reason your husband died." My heart dropped. "What reason?" I whispered. Michael shot her a warning glare. "Don't listen to her. She's been obsessed with your husband for years. She'll say anything to twist this." The woman shook her head, tears streaming. "Please, don't let him fool you the same way he fooled your husband." The envelope felt like it was burning in my hands. I looked at both of them. 2 strangers. 2 enemies. 2 completely different truths. And I didn't know who to trust. But I knew this. Whichever one of them was lying to protect something dark. And whichever one of them was telling the truth, was about to blow open the life I thought I knew. My dear, I stood there between those 2 people like a thin thread stretched to the point of snapping. The wind moved around us, cold and sharp, lifting the edges of my coat as if it too sensed the danger in the air. I could feel my age in my bones, the heaviness of grief pressing down on me, but something else started to rise in me that day. Something fierce and old and tired of being kept in the dark. I looked down at the envelope in my hand. It felt heavier than paper, like it carried the weight of the last truth my husband never gave me. "Tell me what's in this," I demanded softly, my voice trembling but determined. Michael rubbed his forehead. "I don't know the contents." He sealed it himself. Then he looked at the woman approaching us, his jaw tightening. "But I do know he trusted me, not her." The woman stepped closer, her breathing uneven. "He trusted him because he didn't know what he was capable of," she said. "Your husband didn't leave that envelope as a gift. He left it as a warning." The word warning hit me like a cold splash of water. My husband? Warning me? From beyond the grave? "Why should I trust you?" I asked her. "Tell me your connection to him." She closed her eyes for a moment as if gathering strength. "Because I worked with him," she whispered. "Not at his official job. At the place he never told you about." My heart lurched. "What place?" Michael stepped in front of her. "Enough. She's trying to confuse you." "Move," she snapped, "or I swear I'll tell her everything right here, right now." He didn't move. She sighed shakily and looked at me instead. "Your husband wasn't cheating on you," she said softly. "But he was involved in something dangerous. And both of us," she glanced at Michael, "we were part of it." Dangerous. That word felt like a stone dropped into a well, falling, falling, falling. I gripped the envelope tighter. "Tell me what kind of danger." Michael cut in immediately. "No. Not here. Not now. Let's get somewhere private." I shook my head. "I'm not going anywhere with either of you until I understand what my husband was part of." The woman stepped forward and gently touched my elbow, her eyes softening with grief I recognized, a grief too real to fake. "Look at me," she whispered. "Please. Just look." And I did. What I saw wasn't the face of a liar. It was the face of someone carrying a burden too heavy for her small frame. He saved my life, she said. More than once. And I owe him the truth, even if it destroys everything for me. Michael clenched his jaw so hard I could see the muscle jump. This is exactly what he didn't want, he muttered. Then maybe, she snapped. He should have told his wife himself instead of leaving her blind. Those words stung. My husband should have told me. He should have told me everything. But he hadn't. And the people standing before me were drowning in secrets he left behind. Enough, I said softly, surprising even myself. Both of you. I want one thing, the truth. But I will decide how I hear it. The woman nodded, a single tear slipping down her cheek. Michael just stared at me like he was trying to calculate something. I took a slow breath. Let me ask you both something, I said. And I want you to answer honestly. They both looked at me. If my husband were alive right now, who would he want me to trust? The woman looked destroyed, like she knew the answer would hurt her. Michael stepped forward quickly. Me, he said. He told me to protect you. The woman closed her eyes, took a trembling breath and whispered. He would want you to trust whoever tells you the truth, even if it wasn't him. My heart twisted so painfully I almost lost my breath. I didn't know which one was lying. I didn't know which one was twisting threads around me to pull me into their version of the story. But I knew one thing. The envelope in my hand contained my husband's voice, his truth, his final message, and I needed to hear it. Right when I was about to break the seal, Michael reached out sharply. Not here, he said. If you read that in the open, you could put yourself in danger. Danger from whom? I asked. His eyes flicked toward the road behind me. From the people your husband was trying to expose. Expose. That word froze me. My husband was trying to expose someone? Something. And he died before he could? Or because he tried? My fingers trembled. Did someone kill him? The woman gasped softly, but didn't deny it. Michael's face hardened, his jaw locking into place. His death wasn't an accident, she whispered. And I think you already suspected that. My heart slammed against my ribs. Because yes, deep inside, in a place I never wanted to see, I did suspect it. He was perfectly healthy the day before. Laughing, talking, planning, and then suddenly gone? No, it never made sense. Tell me everything, I whispered. Michael shook his head. Not here. Not now. Not until we're safe. The woman took a step toward me, voice trembling. If you go with him alone, you might never come back. Stop. Michael snapped. Stop filling her head with paranoia. Paranoia, she shouted. Or the truth you're terrified she'll hear? Their arguing grew louder, sharper, more desperate. Like two worlds colliding, and I was standing right in the middle about to be crushed. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could barely keep myself standing. My husband had secrets, dangerous secrets, secrets that could get people killed. And now those secrets had crawled out of the dark and wrapped themselves around me. I pressed the envelope to my chest and whispered, "Stop." They froze. Then I said something I didn't expect to say. "I'm opening it." Michael lunged forward. "Don't." The woman reached toward me too. "Please wait." But it was too late. My fingernail lifted the seal. The wax cracked. And inside the silence that fell across that cold parking lot, I unfolded the letter my husband wrote with hands that must have been shaking. One single sentence stared back at me. Just 9 words. And those 9 words ruined the life I thought I had. My dear, those 9 words, they didn't just break me. They hollowed me out from the inside like someone reached into my chest and scooped out everything I thought I knew. Everything I thought I was. Everything I thought my life meant. The paper trembled in my old hands. My eyes struggled to focus. My breath. I couldn't even feel it. Because the letter said, "If you're reading this, it means they got me." For a moment everything around me, Michael, the woman, the cars, the wind, blurred like paint running in the rain. I felt myself sway, and the woman rushed forward to steady me before I fell. "Oh God," she whispered. He knew. He knew. Michael cursed under his breath and ran his hands through his hair. "This complicates everything. Complicates. Complicates." That was the word he used. Not breaks me. Not devastates my entire life. Just complicates. I felt something sharp in my chest. Not grief, not shock, but anger. The kind that comes when you realize you're the last one to know a truth everyone else was dancing around. I looked up at both of them, my voice thin and shaking. Who are they? Neither spoke. Tell me, I repeated louder, the anger cracking through the grief like thunder. Who are they? The woman bit her lip, terrified. If we tell you, if you know too much, you could become their target too. Michael snapped. She already is a target. I turned slowly toward him. Why? His mouth opened then closed, like he was choosing his words too carefully. Words that tasted like lies on his tongue. My eyes narrowed. What was my husband caught up in? The woman exhaled shakily, then grabbed my hand. Let me take you somewhere safe. Please. If they know you have this letter, they'll come for you next. Michael stepped between us. No. She stays with me. I promised her husband. You promised him you'd keep your own secrets, she spat. That made him flinch. Tell me, I whispered again, what he was involved in. The woman looked at me with so much sorrow, so much guilt, that I felt the truth before she even said it. He was working undercover, she whispered, investigating something inside the company. Something illegal. Illegal. The word froze the air. Michael glared at her. Shut up. You're going to get us all killed. She ignored him. Your husband wasn't just an accountant. Not for the last 18 months. He was gathering evidence, collecting documents, hiding files. He was supposed to give them to the authorities. But before he could, she swallowed hard. Someone found out. I closed my eyes. My husband. My quiet, gentle, rule-following husband. Undercover? Investigating criminals? Living a hidden life I knew nothing about? How? I whispered. How could he hide that from me? The woman's voice softened. He said he didn't want to drag you into danger. He was protecting you. It hurt. It hurt so much my chest felt like it was splitting open. But what was he investigating? I asked quietly. This time Michael answered. His voice was low, heavy. A laundering operation inside our own company. Money going places it shouldn't. People getting paid off. People disappearing. My heart thudded painfully. Disappearing. The woman nodded. Your husband was getting too close to the truth. And someone inside the company realized it. I felt dizzy. The world tilted again. So, did they kill him? I whispered. Michael hesitated. Just a heartbeat. But it was enough. The hesitation itself was the answer. I felt a sound leave my throat. Something between a cry and a gasp. My knees buckled, and the woman wrapped her arms around me to keep me standing. I could feel her shaking too. He didn't die from a heart attack? I whispered into the cold air. He didn't just collapse? No, the woman whispered. I'm so sorry. He didn't. A sob cracked inside me, raw and terrible. My husband didn't just die. He was taken from me. Silenced. Stolen. I pressed the letter to my heart as though I could feel his hands again. His warmth, his voice whispering through the paper. If you're reading this, it means they got me. My tears fell onto the words, smearing the ink. It felt like losing him all over again, but this time with knives instead of numbness. I turned to Michael. Why didn't you tell me? He looked away. Because telling you puts you in danger. Because the more you know. No, I interrupted sharply. You didn't tell me because you're hiding something too. The woman inhaled sharply. Yes. He is. Michael's head snapped toward her. Say one more word, Anne. And what? She shouted. You'll do to me what they did to him? Silence. A silence that was too loud, too dangerous, too full of truth. I felt cold all over. My fingertips, my spine, even my breath. I whispered, Michael, were you involved? He stared at me. Blankly. Emotionless. Like a door closing in front of me. I tried to help him, he said slowly. But I couldn't stop what happened. That wasn't an answer. Not even close. The woman stepped in front of me, shielding me from him. You need to get away from him, she whispered. He's not the ally he pretends to be. Michael's voice hardened. Don't listen to her. She disappeared for 2 months before your husband died. Ask her where she was. The woman stiffened. Her eyes widened with fear. Don't you dare. Tell her, Michael pressed, stepping closer. Tell her what you did. The woman's hand dropped from my arm. She looked at me, her eyes brimming with terror. And she whispered, "I disappeared because I was running. Because they tried to kill me too." I felt the breath leave my lungs. "For what?" I asked. She swallowed. "For helping your husband." Michael cursed softly under his breath. Now both of them were hiding things. Both of them were dangerous. Both of them were tangled in my husband's final months. And both of them wanted me to trust them. But before I could decide anything, before I could speak, before I could even breathe, a car pulled into the lot. Slow, dark, tinted windows. And it stopped only a few feet away from us. My blood turned to ice. Michael's face drained of color. The woman grabbed my wrist so tightly it hurt. And she whispered, "They found us." My dear, when that dark car rolled to a stop, I swear the air froze around us. Not cold, frozen, like the world itself was holding its breath. The woman's fingers dug into my wrist, and Michael stepped slightly in front of us, as if he could shield me from whatever was coming. But even he couldn't hide the way his hands trembled. The car didn't move. No doors opened. The engine hummed low, almost like it was waiting for something. "Don't look at them," the woman whispered, her voice barely a breath. "Just move. Slowly." Michael shook his head sharply. "No. If we run, they'll chase." I stared at the car, my heart pounding hard enough to hurt. "Who are they?" Neither of them answered. The woman pulled at my arm. "We need to go. Now. I know a place." Michael blocked her path. "She's not going anywhere with you. You'll get her killed." She glared at him. "Standing still will get her killed faster." For a moment the two of them seemed to forget I was even there. Two people arguing over a life that wasn't theirs to control mine. I stepped back just once. Enough to make them both look at me. "Enough," I whispered. "Both of you. I'm not running blind. Tell me who is in that car." The woman looked at me with terror in her eyes. "People your husband was investigating." Michael's jaw tightened. "We don't know that," she snapped. "Yes, we do." My legs felt weak again, so weak I had to grip the side of a parked car just to stay standing. "Are they here to finish what they started?" The woman nodded barely. Michael didn't deny it. Before I could breathe again, a faint click echoed from the dark sedan. A door unlocking. The woman flinched. "Move," she whispered. "Move now." Michael grabbed my elbow, urging me toward his car. "Get in. It's armored. Safer." "No," the woman hissed. "He'll take you straight to them." I froze. Them. Not away from them. To them. I looked at Michael slowly. His eyes didn't flinch, but something in them darkened. Something I hadn't seen before. A coldness. Calculation. I whispered. "Were you going to hand me over?" His silence was louder than any answer. The woman shoved me behind her. Run right now." But my old legs, they didn't move fast. They couldn't. I was too shaken, too scared, too tired from the grief clawing at my ribs. Then, the car door cracked open 2 inches. A shoe hit the pavement. Black leather. Polished. Precise. Someone stepped out, slow, deliberate, like they had all the time in the world. I felt myself shaking uncontrollably. The woman grabbed my hand. "Follow me." She yanked me toward the back of the funeral home. But before we got 2 steps, I heard a familiar sound. Michael drawing something from inside his jacket. A gun. The woman gasped. I stopped breathing. "Put it down," she cried. "Don't do this." His hand shook just once, then steadied. "Just come with me," he said through clenched teeth. "I can still fix this." Fix this? Fix what? Handing me over? Saving himself? Finishing something my husband started? I couldn't tell. The woman stood in front of me, shielding me with her body even though she was shaking like a leaf. "Don't you point that at her." His eyes flicked toward the dark car, then back to us. "If they take her, she dies tonight. If I take her, maybe she lives. Maybe we all live. Maybe. A man who speaks in maybe isn't a man who can protect you." The woman whispered to me, barely audible. "On my signal, fall." I didn't understand. Fall. Just do it. The man from the dark car stepped farther out. He wasn't tall. He wasn't big. He didn't look like a monster. But something about him, the stillness, the calm, it made my skin crawl. "Michael," he said calmly, "step aside." Just 2 words. Step aside. Michael's face went pale. The woman looked at me. Then she shouted, "Now!" And she shoved me. Hard. I fell backward onto the pavement, my hands scraping, my breath knocked out of my lungs. A gunshot cracked through the air, so loud, so sharp, it ripped through the silence like lightning splitting a tree. I heard the woman scream, "Run!" Not a scream of fear. A scream of desperation. A scream of someone who didn't care about herself anymore. I scrambled to my knees, dizzy and breathless, just as she grabbed my arm again and pulled me around the building. We ran. Or rather, she ran. I stumbled, clung, gasped, praying my legs wouldn't collapse. Behind us, voices shouted. Another gunshot. Then another. The funeral home door burst open. A man in a black suit appeared, startled. The woman shoved past him. "Call the police!" she screamed, her voice cracking. "Now!" But before he could move, the dark car screeched around the corner of the building. I felt my heart stop. "They're coming," I gasped. "They're coming." She pulled me into a narrow hallway, slamming a door behind us. We ran down the corridor, her hand gripping mine like iron. My old heart thudded painfully against my ribs, each beat loud enough to echo in my ears. Finally we reached the back exit. She pushed it open and dragged me toward the tree line behind the funeral home. Twigs snapped under our feet. Branches whipped against my coat. My breath came in short, painful bursts. "Please," I gasped. "Tell me what is happening." She didn't slow. Didn't look back. "All you need to know," she panted, "is that your husband died because he trusted the wrong person. And if we stop moving, the same thing will happen to you." My knees nearly gave out. Who did he trust? She stopped, turned, looked straight into my trembling eyes, and whispered, "Michael." I felt the world tilt, my stomach drop, my breath vanish. But before I could speak, before I could even react, a voice from behind us cut through the trees. A cold, calm voice. "You should have stayed quiet." The woman's eyes widened in horror. She pushed me behind a tree, and she whispered the last words I expected to hear. "He followed us." My dear, I wish you could feel my heartbeat right now as I tell you this part, because this is where the truth started crawling out from places I never expected. After that terrifying night when I discovered that hidden recording in my daughter-in-law's phone, I barely slept. I kept staring at the ceiling, whispering to myself, what did my Henry get himself into, and why did he never tell me? Morning light was barely creeping through my curtains when I sat up, rubbed my old aching knees, and felt something inside me waking up too. A kind of fire I didn't know I still had. I wasn't just a grieving widow anymore. I was a woman who needed answers. And sweetheart, when a grandmother wants the truth, she'll dig it out even if the whole world is trying to bury it. I made myself a cup of tea, but my hands were shaking too much to hold it steady. I kept hearing that man's voice from the recording, Jacob. The tone he used, the panic, the fear. Like he knew something terrible was coming. But the part haunting me most wasn't the voice. It was the silence. My Henry, my kind, gentle Henry. Why didn't he tell me anything? Why did he hide this? Why did he leave me walking into my own grief blindfolded? And then, sweet child, I looked straight at the wall where his photo hung, him smiling in that silly blue sweater he refused to throw away, and I whispered, Henry, what were you protecting me from? I didn't expect an answer, of course, but the room suddenly felt colder, like something or someone wanted me to keep going. Before I could lose my courage, I slipped on my shoes, grabbed Henry's old jacket, the one that still smelled faintly like his aftershave, and headed outside. I didn't want to face Sylvia or her sharp tongue again, so I quietly called a cab and told the driver to take me to Henry's old workplace. And darling, the moment I stepped into that building, every head turned, some out of pity, some out of guilt, and some out of fear, and that scared me more than anything. I walked straight to the front desk, and the young receptionist, bless her heart, stood up so fast you'd think I was the president. Ma'am, I'm so sorry for your loss. Yes, thank you, I murmured. I need to see Jacob. Her face tightened. Uneasy. Hesitant. He isn't in today. But her eyes told a different story. She was lying. Why would she lie to a grieving old woman? I leaned closer and whispered quietly, Sweetheart, listen to me. I'm not here for trouble. I'm here for the truth. And if Jacob is inside, I need to see him. It's important. She swallowed, looked around, and finally pressed a buzzer that unlocked a door behind her. Second floor, office 213, she whispered. That walk down the hallway felt like a mile. Every step echoed with suspicion. Every door I passed felt like it was holding a secret. I pushed open the door to office 213, and there he was. Jacob, the same man from the recording. His face pale as a ghost the moment he saw me, like he'd just seen a spirit rise from the grave. Mrs. Harper, he stuttered. You shouldn't be here. I closed the door behind me. Then you should have called me yourself. My Henry trusted you. And you owe me the truth. His hand started to tremble. His lips trembled first, then his voice. Mrs. Harper, if I tell you, everything will change. Everything already has, I told him. I buried my husband 2 days ago. Nothing you say can break me more than I'm already broken. He slowly sat down, rubbing his face like he hadn't slept in days. It wasn't supposed to happen, he whispered. My heart dropped. What wasn't supposed to happen? He looked up at me with eyes so full of guilt I felt the room closing in. Henry wasn't supposed to be on that floor. He wasn't supposed to be anywhere near that meeting. We were warned. I froze. Warned. Jacob nodded. About the system failure. About the explosion risk. Your husband wasn't on the list of people who were supposed to be there. But someone pushed him onto that shift last minute. Sweet child, my breath stopped. Completely stopped. Someone who? I whispered. Jacob hesitated. He looked toward the door like he expected someone to burst in at any moment. I can't say. Not yet. They told us to stay quiet. They told us it was just an accident. But I saw the paperwork. I saw the signatures. Your husband was put there deliberately. And the person who did it, they're close to you. Too close. My knees nearly gave out. I had to hold on to the chair just to stay standing. Close to me. I repeated, my voice cracking. Jacob nodded, his eyes filled with shame. I'm sorry, Mrs. Harper. I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell you at the funeral, but 2 men from corporate followed me the whole time. If I opened my mouth, I don't know what they would have done. I felt something boiling inside me. Anger, shock, betrayal, but most of all, fear. Fear that the people I let into my home, the people I let cry beside me, the people I trusted, might have killed my husband. But sweetheart, the moment that hit me hardest was when Jacob looked me dead in the eyes and whispered something that shook my soul. Your husband found out something. Something he wasn't supposed to know. And he told me he was going home that night to tell you. That's why they had to move him to that shift. To stop him. I felt like the ground under me cracked open. Henry died because he was coming home to tell me something. Something that could destroy someone. My voice came out as a whisper, trembling like an old leaf. What was he going to tell me? Jacob opened his mouth, but before a single word came out, someone knocked hard on the office door. Not a polite knock. A warning one. Jacob's face turned white. He stood up so fast his chair fell back. Go, he whispered desperately. Mrs. Harper, please go now. I'll contact you tonight. Just go before. Another knock. Louder. I grabbed my purse, pushed past Jacob, and walked out as calmly as my frightened old legs allowed. But inside my heart was pounding like thunder. As I hurried out of the building I felt it. Eyes watching me. Someone following. Shadows moving where they shouldn't. And sweet child, the moment I reached home, something chilling was waiting on my doorstep. Something that made me gasp so loud the neighbor's dog started barking. A small envelope. No name. No return address. Inside it, one single line written in bold black ink. Stop digging, Grandma, or you'll end up just like him. Sweetheart, before I begin this part, I need you to take a deep breath with me, because what happened next still makes my hands tremble when I think about it. That envelope on my doorstep. That cold, threatening sentence staring up at me like a knife pressed against my throat. It didn't just scare me. It woke something inside me. Something fierce. Something protective. Something that made me whisper, Henry, I'm not running. Not this time. But child, fear has a strange way of settling into your bones at my age. My fingers were shaking so hard I almost dropped the note. I looked around, scanning every corner, every shadow, every car parked on the street. And for the first time in years I didn't feel safe in my own home. The house Henry and I built. The place where we raised our son. The kitchen where I baked his favorite cinnamon rolls. Suddenly felt like a target. I locked every door. Every window. Even the little back latch we never bothered with. And then I sat in Henry's old armchair. The one with the faded cushion and the faint smell of his cologne. And I just stared at that note. Stop digging, Grandma. The word grandma burned my chest. Whoever wrote that knew me. Knew my age. Knew my life. Knew exactly where to hit me. And sweetheart. That tells you something important, doesn't it? Let me ask you a simple question. If a stranger wanted to scare me, how would they know to call me Grandma? Think about that. As I sat there, my phone buzzed. It was a single message from an unknown number. Tonight, 11:30. Check your back porch. My heart dropped. My stomach twisted. Was it Jacob? Or the person who sent the threat? I didn't know. And that was the worst part. I waited. I waited for hours, sitting in the silence, listening for every creak, every sound outside. 11 o'clock rolled around. I could hear my old clock ticking, each tick louder than the last. My palms were sweating. My breath was shallow. And every now and then I whispered, Henry, stay with me, please. When the clock finally reached 11:30, I forced myself up. Slowly. Carefully. My legs were tired, but my spirit refused to bend. I grabbed my flashlight and unlocked the back door. The moment I stepped outside, cold air rushed against my face. My backyard was quiet, too quiet. Even the usual crickets seemed to be holding their breath. I followed the light of my flashlight to the porch steps, and that's when I saw it. A small USB drive. Nothing else. Just that. Placed neatly. Purposefully. I picked it up, my hands trembling, and hurried back inside. I locked the door behind me and went straight to Henry's old laptop, the one I kept in the drawer by the bookshelf. I plugged the USB in. And for a moment nothing happened. Then a single video file appeared. My throat tightened. The file was named. He knew. Clicked it. The screen flickered. Then a video played. Grainy. Dark. Like it was recorded from a security camera in some dim hallway. And there he was. My Henry. My sweet, tired, wonderful husband, walking down that hallway with a folder in his hand, looking over his shoulder like he knew he was being watched. I put my hand over my mouth to stop myself from screaming. He looked scared. Truly scared. I'd never seen that look on his face before. He stepped into a room. The camera view changed as if someone edited it. The new angle showed the inside of a conference room. Papers scattered everywhere. A computer open with spreadsheets on the screen. Henry placed the folder down and whispered something, but the audio was too weak to hear clearly. Then the door opened. Someone walked in. Tall. Dark coat. Their face wasn't visible. Only their silhouette. Henry took a step back. He said something. I saw his lips move, and then he slammed his hand on the table like he was trying to warn them, or warn himself. The person in the doorway moved closer. Henry tried to leave. The person blocked him. And then, sweetheart, my eyes filled with tears so fast I could barely see. Henry grabbed that folder like it was the last thing he had left, pushed past the person and ran out of the room. The camera followed him down the hallway. He was running, limping, holding that folder tight against his chest. The video suddenly froze. Another message popped up on the screen. He died because of what was in that folder. A cold chill shot through my whole body. My hands covered my face. My heart felt like it was splitting open. The screen flickered again. Then another line appeared. And the person who told him to take that shift is in your family. My breath hitched. My chest tightened. I felt like I was drowning in my own heartbeat. I whispered, No, not my family. But deep down, some part of me knew. There were signs. Little ones. Moments I ignored. Things that didn't make sense until now. And then, as if the night hadn't already crushed me enough, the front door suddenly rattled. Not gently. Not by wind. But by force. Someone was trying to get in. I froze. My whole body stiffened like I'd turned to stone. I turned off Henry's laptop, grabbed the USB, and backed away slowly, my eyes fixed on the front door. It rattled again. Harder. Like someone testing whether they could break it open. I held my breath. Every bone in my body screamed in fear. I clutched the USB so tight it nearly cracked in my hand. Then suddenly the rattling stopped. Silence. A silence so deep I could hear my heartbeat echoing in my ears. I waited. And waited. But whoever it was, they left. Or maybe they were still out there, watching. I didn't sleep a second that night. I sat in Henry's chair with every light in the house on, clutching that USB like my life depended on it. Because maybe it did. And sweetheart, I need you to stay with me now because the next day, the very next morning, something happened that shattered me to pieces. Someone in my family slipped. One small mistake. One sentence they never should have said. One look they never should have made. And in that moment, I finally knew who killed my husband. Sweetheart, I don't think I'll ever forget the way the morning sun looked that day. It was bright, too bright, almost rude, shining through my curtains like the world didn't care that my heart was cracking open. I barely moved from Henry's chair all night, still holding that USB, still listening for footsteps outside, still waiting for the wrong knock on the door. My eyes were swollen from crying. My throat felt raw. My mind was spinning so fast I couldn't hold a single thought steady. And then right around 7 a.m., I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow, heavy, familiar. First I froze. I didn't remember leaving any room doors open. I didn't remember turning on any lights upstairs. And I certainly didn't remember hearing Sylvia leave her room the night before. I placed the USB in my pocket and stood up carefully, using the arm of Henry's chair to steady my old legs. Is someone there? I called out, my voice trembling. Then I heard it, the creak of the third step. The same creak that always gave Henry away when he tried to sneak down for a midnight snack. But this time it wasn't Henry. Mom! It was my son. He appeared at the top of the stairs, hair messy, face blank, wearing yesterday's clothes like he hadn't slept. For a moment my heart softened. He looked like a boy again, scared and lost, but then something in my chest tightened. Because he wasn't supposed to be here this early. And he sure wasn't supposed to look that calm after the night I had. What are you doing here? I whispered. I just wanted to check on you, he said. But his eyes. Oh, sweetheart, his eyes told a whole different story. They kept darting. Left, right, down, up. Avoiding me. Avoiding the truth. I watched him walk down the stairs slowly, every step feeling like a countdown. When he reached me, he tried to pull me into a hug, but something inside me backed away. Not because I didn't love him, but because I suddenly felt unsafe in my own skin. He noticed. He froze. Mom, what's wrong? My heart thudded. Loud. Heavy. What did you do? The words slipped out of my mouth before I could stop them. His eyebrows lifted. What are you talking about? I reached into my pocket, pulled out the USB and held it up. This was on the porch last night. His face went white. Completely white. Like every drop of blood drained out. And sweet child, that's the moment I knew. He knew exactly what was on it. He swallowed hard enough for me to see his throat move. Where did you get that? I stepped back, my voice shaking. It doesn't matter. What matters is what's inside. He didn't speak. Didn't blink. Just stared at that little device like it was a gun. Henry was running, I whispered. In the video. He was scared. Someone cornered him at work. Someone pushed him onto that shift so he couldn't come home to tell me something. His jaw tightened. His fists clenched. And then he made the mistake that ended everything. He said, "You weren't supposed to see that." Sweetheart, my heart nearly stopped. My knees buckled. I had to grab the wall to stay standing. What do you mean? I choked out. I wasn't supposed to see it. He ran his hand down his face and let out a shaky breath. You're making this worse, Mom. I wanted to protect you. Protect me from what? I cried. From the truth? From what happened to your father? His eyes snapped up. Sharp. Angry. He wasn't supposed to open that folder, he muttered. He wasn't supposed to get involved. He knew better. That folder. I whispered. The one he died trying to save? He looked away. His silence told me everything. I suddenly remembered something. 3 weeks before Henry died, he and our son argued in the garage. I heard raised voices. Stress. Fear. I thought it was about money. Or some work project. But now, oh dear God, Now I knew it was about whatever he'd discovered. My son exhaled sharply, pacing. They were cutting corners, Mom. Everyone was doing it. Your husband wasn't supposed to dig into it. He was supposed to sign and move on. And when he didn't, I pressed. My son stopped pacing. He looked me dead in the eyes. And he said the sentence that shattered every piece of my soul. I moved him to that shift. Sweetheart, I felt my world collapse. My own son. My little boy I raised. The baby I held against my chest. He sent his father to that shift. You what? I screamed, tears pouring down my face. It wasn't like that, he yelled back. I didn't know it would explode. I didn't know it would actually happen. You put him in danger. He was going to expose everything. Mom, if he had gone through with it, I'd be in prison. We'd lose everything. Our home, our savings, our future. And you chose yourself over your father? I whispered, my voice barely a breath. He grabbed my arm. Hard. Too hard. You don't understand, he hissed. If you tell anyone, we all go down. You, me, Sylvia, everyone. You have to let this go. I yanked my arm away, trembling. No. No, I will not carry your sin. I will not bury what you did. Your father died because he trusted you. His face twisted. He stepped closer. Mom, give me the USB. I stepped back. No. He stepped forward. Give it to me. I clutched it against my chest. You'll have to kill me too. His whole body froze. He stared at me like he didn't know the woman standing in front of him anymore. Mom, he breathed. Don't do this. I shook my head, tears dripping onto my shirt. You already did this. The day you sent him there, you did this. He reached for me. But before he could touch me, a loud knock hit the front door. Both of us jumped. Another knock. Firm. Commanding. Then a voice called out. Mrs. Harper? This is Detective Rowe. We need to speak with you. My son's face turned to stone. I held the USB behind my back. Mom, he whispered, voice cracking. Please don't open that door. I looked at him, my son, my blood, and for the first time in my entire life, I felt nothing familiar in his eyes. I turned my back to him, walked to the door, and opened it. Because, sweetheart, the truth deserves daylight. Even when it destroys everything.